Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this webinar about Texas Pathways Institute number 5. As I just mentioned, please make sure you are muted. We are happy to answer any questions you might have. I think that the chat might be the best way to do that. So please, at any point, if you have questions, go ahead and type those into the chat box. So today we're going to look at a few different topics, including how this institute fits into the overall Texas Pathways strategy, a little more information about registration, the schedule, pre-institute sessions, advanced reading and advanced work, and then some deadlines. So first, looking at this institute in the overall context of Guided Pathways and Texas Pathways, this institute is called Supporting Students on the Path. And as we know that the Pathways model is an integrated institution-wide model where you can't specifically target only certain segments of the pathway because all parts of the pathway impact the other parts. But here we are focusing on the student's experience as they enter the institution and progress through the institution. So looking at topics such as advising, orientation, early alerts and interventions, financial aid, and financial stability. And we know that all of these student support services are always integrated with academics, so we're not trying to remove those from the conversation about what classes students are taking and what they're learning in those. But because Pathways is such a big topic, we are trying to focus on these subtopics at this institute. And if we're looking at Guided Pathways implementation and the different dimensions of Pathways, these topics are primarily in the helping students get on a path and helping students stay on a path component. So moving on to some details about the Institute, I think everyone knows that it's November 14th through the 16th, so that is a Wednesday through Friday. We're going to be at the Hilton Anatole in Dallas. And the Success Center subsidizes registration for a team of 7 people from each college. And then for those 7 people, the Success Center also funds hotel stays on November 14th and November 15th. Some colleges like to bring additional participants to the Institute, and you are welcome to do that. Those additional participants will be charged $250 for registration, and the college is responsible for picking up any additional hotel rooms. Furthermore, there are hotel rooms available the night before the Institute on the 13th and the night after the Institute at that same per diem rate. And so if your college would like to reserve hotel rooms for those nights, you are welcome to. But again, funding those nights would be the responsibility of the institution, not the Success Center. Because of the topics that we are covering, we are recommending certain roles come, but always with the understanding that colleges are organized differently. There are different organizational structures, different reporting lines, different titles at institutions. So please consider these guidelines and take into account your institutional context as you are composing your team. For this institute, we are moving forward with our strategy of establishing a core team for cadres 3 and 4, because we think that it will help those colleges to have more consistency in their team membership and for the same group of folks to come to multiple institutes. Whereas for cadres 1 and 2, the colleges are more familiar with Guided Pathways principles. In most cases, they've already begun implementation and scaling. Some colleges are pretty far advanced in the work. And so for those schools, it might be helpful to bring more varied people to the Institute to help spread the knowledge and get involved in the details. So you'll see here a list of the different types of roles we would recommend for these colleges and the cadres. Registration is currently open for the Institute. Every college receives 7 complimentary registration codes in an email. And as we previously mentioned, each code will cover registration and 2 nights of hotel for the person who registers. During the registration process, people who do not have a code are charged $250, and that could be payable by a credit card right there during registration. If you do not have a code, then you will need to book the hotel room yourself, but please go through the registration portal. If you are not in a position to book at that moment when you register for the event, then your registration confirmation email will include a link to book the hotel, and you must use the link either in the portal or in the email in order to access our room block and also have the per diem rate. The hotel will not take any reservations over the phone for our room block, so please do go through those links. And I see we have a question about the PowerPoint slides, and yes, we'd be happy to post those, and the recording of this webinar will also be available. So looking at the schedule for the Institute, we do have a couple optional pre-Institute sessions that begin at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, and we'll talk a little bit more about those in just a moment. The full program begins at 2 p.m. and then goes through 5 o'clock. At 5:30, we will have a reception at which we will serve hors d'oeuvres. So if you would like a dinner in addition to the hors d'oeuvres, then you'll be on your own in Dallas for that. On Thursday, we provide breakfast. The program begins at 9 a.m. We also provide lunch. We'll have concurrent sessions happening early afternoon. I wanted to highlight that we again have CEO-specific sessions with the Aspen Institute from noon to 3:30. We've gotten great response from those. They are designed specifically for CEOs, and so Pathways leads, if you could please let your CEOs know that we are having those sessions again, but also rest assured that we will have concurrent sessions for folks who are not in that CEO role at the same time. The program will conclude at 5 p.m. on day 2. We'll provide breakfast on Friday morning, and the session starts at 9 a.m. and concludes at noon. So for those of you who've been to institutes in the past, it follows very much the same schedule. A little about the pre-institute sessions. We have 2 of those that you can sign up for. Both of them are 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We do serve lunch for the folks attending those sessions. The first one is about 8-week terms and the transformations that Odessa and Amarillo have seen since they've implemented 8-week terms, and then Grayson is implementing those for this fall. And so the session will focus on the journey of these 3 colleges and the successes they've seen from 8-week terms. And then our second pre-institute session is provided by Inside Track in conjunction with Austin Community College about their experience with advising reform, focusing on holistic advising, including assessment and goal setting with students. So please do register for those. Space is limited, and we want to make sure that our rooms can hold everyone who's interested. And so register for those sessions. And if you have already registered and change your mind, then please do go in and modify your registration, which everyone can do using the confirmation number they've received. We look forward to some great conversations in those pre-institutes. So I see another question here on the chat. Can the college CEO designate a substitute for the CEO session if the CEO is unable to attend? In the past, that has not been the practice that we have engaged in for those sessions, because these conversations are structured to be a place where CEOs can share the information that's pertinent to their job role, which is very specific, and other folks at the institution may not encounter the same kind of challenges. And so it's a way of creating a space for CEOs to talk openly about their challenges and successes. And so we can investigate that, but I know in the past we have limited that to the CEO's participation. Another question here, what are options if college does not pay through PayPal? If you are unable to use an institutional credit card to pay, then please send an email to success@tac.org and we can have an individual conversation about different options. Okay, now moving on and looking at the advanced work for this institute. I hope that you've navigated to our new website. We're really proud of it and excited to have the increased functionality and the better visuals on the new site. So on our old site, we included information about events and institutes on our resources page, but on this site, we have a specific page for events, and you'll see a screenshot of it here. The information about each event is there after you click into it on the page. So this is what you would see after clicking on the event. And this is also where you will find the advanced work for the event. At the bottom of the screen, you'll find a table with different tabs for the different cadres. Some of the information is the same from cadre to cadre, but other information is different, and we'll highlight what those differences will be here during this webinar. You'll also see that there are some common information above the cadre box for SESI results and SESI administration year by college, and we'll note those in just a moment, as well as the document center, which is a new tool. There are 2 advanced readings for this institute. They're both pretty accessible. Elevating Student Affairs Practice in Community College Redesign was written by Dr. Michael Baston, who many of you know as one of our coaches for Texas Pathways. He's the president of Rockland Community College. This reading is about 6 pages in length. And then another report that many of you have already read, but if you have not, we ask you to please review Show Me the Way, The Power of Advising in Community Colleges, the latest report from the Center for Community College Student Engagement. Both of those are available on our website and were included in the email that Pathways Leads received. Advanced work includes a survey on college financial stability and financial aid services, a student enrollment flowchart, a review of SESI data, and then the Mass Pathways survey. And we're going to talk about each of those individually. So first, all cadres are asked to complete a college financial stability and financial aid survey. You received a unique link for this survey, and that unique link will allow you to go back in and change, modify any answers. If you needed to research in response to a question, then you can stop answering the survey and then use the same link and click back in and resume the survey. Topics that are include the ones that you see over here on the left side of your screen, financial stability services, and the question that you see on the right side relates to the different stability services that are asked about in that section. Then we ask about things such as programming for faculty and staff, financial literacy programming that's available, and basic needs security. So again, financial stability and financial aid will be topics at the Institute. Next, we have a student enrollment flowchart, and this one is adapted per cadre, and so there will be differences. If you are retrieving the flowchart off of the website, then please ensure that you choose the one for your cadre. You may have done an exercise similar to this if you've been involved with AACC Pathways or other kinds of reform before Texas Pathways, but this one gets into some details that you may not have encountered in previous similar assignments. So we ask you to map the steps that a student completes to attend class on the first day, and then answer questions related to what you found about the student process. So some of the details that we ask about include the department that administers that part of the process, where the student goes to complete that step, how long it should take them, whether it's required or not, and then add any kind of notes or clarifying information. and specifically point out where a student achieves these certain steps or milestones along with their enrollment process. So where do they first explore careers, learn about transfer and student services, attend orientation, develop an academic plan, register for courses? So I'll show you a sample of the flow chart that was included for Cadre 1. So one of the differences in the Cadre assignments is this first column, the student type. For Cadre 1 institutions, we ask colleges to map the process for new first-time in college students, transfer students, and returning students. For Cadre 2, we ask for the process for new students and transfer students, and then Cadres 3 and 4 are looking only at new first-time in college students. And the discussion questions correspond to the work that each cadre is asked to do. So you'll see here a description of the activity the student performs, which department administers it, where the student has to go for that, how long it should take them, whether it is mandatory, and then you'll see some of the clarifying notes over here. Okay, so let me look at this question that's popped up. If we do any of the items listed after enrollment already occurs, develop an academic plan, should we still include it in the flow chart? There are some things I could include, but again, it's obviously after enrollment. So yes, you could include it in the flow chart, or you can add it at the end as you're typing your answers to the discussion questions and talk about how your process is different. So either way, but please do, for some of those processes that are pointed out here on this slide about where do they explore careers, participate in advising, it is helpful to know at what stage in the process students conduct that, and then for your college to reflect on whether your process is the optimal process to help students get into a streamlined, cohesive program and have the necessary supports there. And so I do want to point out that this column for time and the number of steps is in no way implying that we think that the process should be quick or involve few steps. It's to help you all review your process and think about whether it is aligned and integrated and makes the most sense for your institution and your students. The next assignment is a review of data from the SUSE, and this one varies by which year your college last completed the SUSE. So the survey itself changed in 2017, and the center altered the text and some of the questions and then the question numbers. So if you look over on the right side of the screen at the screenshot of the assignment, then the first one, number of our students reported no, they were not registered. The 13 you see in the parentheses corresponds to the question number on that year's administration of the survey. So please make sure that you complete the appropriate worksheet. If you are not sure which year your college last completed the SUSE, there is a table located on that events page that lists that information. It was also included in the email you received about advanced work. And use your college's data. We do have a few institutions who have not administered the SUSE, and if you're from one of those schools, then please use the statewide data that's provided there on the events page and examine the experience of students across Texas. And then finally, you should have received on Friday a link to the Mathematics Pathways survey. And this is another one where each college has a unique link, and that does allow you to go back in, modify your answers, and continue working at a later point if you weren't able to complete the survey all at once. The email would have come from the email address that you see listed here. We have found in some instances that it has gone to junk or spam folders. So if you don't see it or haven't come across it yet, please do check your junk email folder. And if you still don't see it, then please let us know and we will resend that to you. It was sent to only one recipient per college because we only need one response per college. And so if your college has more than one Pathways lead, then we have informed the other people about who received that. There are 4 sections to the survey. There are 1 per each principal, and then the awards will be given per principal and 1 for the overall exemplar. Awards for the implementation of Math Pathways will be presented at the Institute on the first day of the Institute. Okay, here's another question. The question I have is in regard to Principle 1, Question 1. Asks about percentage of students. Most of our students are in a general AA or AS, so math is not identified on the program plan. However, the majority plans do have the math identified. Are we interested in students or plans? So I think we need to review the survey. So my colleague, Mary, who is managing the survey project, will look into that, and hopefully even by the end of this webinar, will get us an answer. And if we don't get it then we'll be sure to get back in touch with you with that information. So some important deadlines to consider. September 17th is when the Success Center will notify presenters who proposed concurrent sessions, whether their session will happen at the Institute. So thank you to those of you who did propose concurrent sessions. We're excited. We've seen some great work that you're doing at your institutions, and we're glad that you are going to share that with the rest of the colleges at the upcoming Institute. So by September 17th, everyone will know if their proposal has been accepted as a concurrent session. Then October 18th, registration closes for the Pathways Institute. This is a firm deadline, so please do go ahead and talk to your teams and get registered early, especially because space is limited in those pre-institute sessions. If we exceed the room capacity, we will need to cut that off. So please do go ahead and register early. And then October 26th is when the advanced work is due. To submit advanced work, we are going to use a different process than we have before. Previously, it's been a lot of emailing, and we know that sometimes emails get lost or, again, sent to junk. Sometimes the attachments are too big to attach, and it's just not the most efficient way to go about communicating and transferring documents. So on our website, we have built this document center. So after you click on the document center, which you'll see there on the events page, or after you click into the event like I have here in the top screenshot, click on document center and it will open up another window that you'll see here in the foreground of this slide, where you'll type your name, email, choose your college from the list, and upload a maximum of 5 files. So you'll submit that just right on the website. And in a handy dandy move, the coach will be able to log in and download your work straight from the website. So we think that this will make the process more efficient and more effective for everyone. Another question, when will we receive documents we'll work on during the conference team meeting? So the short-term action plans. So those come out usually 2 to 3 weeks prior to the Institute. And so about the same time that you are submitting your advanced work, you'll be receiving the short-term action plans to review. And then finally, I wanted to introduce to you our 2 new Texas Success Center staff members. We have hired Katie Raguson, who is our executive assistant, and Mary Batches as a project manager. So you will meet both of them at the upcoming Institute, and I'm sure that you will enjoy working with them as much as we do. Okay, that's it from our end, and we will research the question on math and offer that clarification on the Math Pathways survey We are happy to entertain any additional questions you have, either now or at any point in the future. You can please just write to success@tac.org, and one of us will respond as quickly as possible. This recording will be posted online if you have folks you think would benefit from viewing it if they weren't able to participate in real time today. So thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.